Well, hello, 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 everyone. Hello, how are you doing tonight? I hope this video finds you doing well. I wanted to pop in and do a really quick video. As you know, tonight is Lupus Facts Tuesday. And so I wanted to come in and I just wanted to talk about a very important topic with you tonight. And tonight's topic is going to be, what are you thinking about? Okay. Um, the Bible says that as a man thinks, so is he. And then Buddha has a quote that the mind is everything, and what you think you become. And so, is there some truth to that? That where the mind goes, the man follows, or whatever we think about, we become. And so, let's try tonight. We're going to focus on our thoughts and how our thoughts impact our actions and how our actions impact everything about us. And is it possible to be happy, you know, in situations or when things are not going as perfect or as we want them to go? Is it possible to still maintain a sense of happiness inside? Because that's where happiness starts at. It starts inside. So let's take a look at this. What are you thinking about? But first of all, let me ask you, in order to see what we've been thinking about, let me ask you something about your own happiness. Are you happy? Are you happy? What does happiness look like to you? What does it mean to be happy? What is your definition of happiness? What makes you happy? You know, have you ever asked yourself that? Or has anyone ever asked you, what makes you happy? And then again, is it possible to be happy during difficult, trying times? For example, the biggest trial that we've all faced as a nation, as a world, is this pandemic. And we've been dealing with this for about 2 years. Is it possible to maintain some sort of happiness when all the factors on the outside of you is in chaos, confusion, and everything is going wrong? And these outside factors are screaming to you, no, you can't be happy. You know, it's impossible for you to be happy. There's no way that you can be happy after dealing with this. Does that sound like the pandemic to you? Yeah. You know, how can you maintain a level of happiness when you're experiencing loss or dealing with some sort of a family issue, a loss of a job, a loss of a family member, any type of a loss? How can you maintain a level of happiness? How can you maintain a level of happiness when you're dealing with a chronic illness or some sort of a disability? Is it possible? Is it possible to be happy in difficult times? Well, tonight we're going to attempt to answer that on this video. And stick around to the end of the video because I have, after all this important information, after all of these good juicy nuggets that I have for you, I have a challenge for you at the end. So make sure you stick around to the end of the video. And so let's try to answer that question. Is it possible to be happy? And then how do you maintain happiness? What is the key to maintaining happiness regardless of your circumstances? Well, I researched online, and there's an online blog, and I have to give fair credit, called Success Consciousness. And the blog is written by Mr. Deepak Raypal, Raypal. And the title of the blog is Five Ways to Guard Your Mind Against Negative Thoughts. Wow. Well, I think that's the beginning of being happy, guarding your mind against negative thoughts. I think that's the beginning of being a positive person. I think he has something to say here. This may be the solution that we're looking for about our happiness and maintaining happiness. And so, what are the five ways that Mr. Ray Paul stated that we could guard our mind against negative thoughts? Exactly how do you do that? Is there a way to do that? Is there a way to guard your mind? Is there a way to control what's going on inside this pretty little head of ours or that handsome head of yours? Is there a way to control what's going on in there? Okay, well, let's see. Let's see if that old saying that states that garbage in, garbage out, or what is meant by, guard your eye gate, guard your ear gate, guard your mouth gate. Is it true that what you see influences your mind? Is it true that what you hear influences your thoughts in your mind? Is it true? Is there some truth to what you speak, the words you say? Does that impact your thoughts and what you're thinking about? Does that impact what's going on in your mind? All right, so let's get to the first point. Mr. Ray Paul states that, never watch too many TV programs that are full of negativity. Now, that's food for thought. We're bombarded every day with so much negativity. You can get negativity any time of the day. When I was growing up, there were 3 channels on the TV. And at a certain time of night, after the 11 o'clock news came on, then, when it went off at 11:30, then there was the Johnny Carson show. Then the TV, all channels, all the TV stations were off. But nowadays, my friend, we can watch TV. We have over, thousands and thousands of channels. So you can get information. You can have things going into your eye gate, your ear gate that influence what you say. You can get that any time of day. And out of all the channels, about 25-30% of them are news, whether it's your local news or your world news. And so you can get up and you can get bad news any time of the day. If you're up at 2 a.m., you can turn on the TV or radio broadcast or social media, and you can get some negative news. It's even gotten to the point now where the news comes on, your local news comes on several times a day. There's the 4 o'clock news, the 4:30 news, the 5 o'clock news, the 5:30 news, the 6 o'clock p.m. news. And then after that at 6:30, it's the world news. And most of the time when we're watching back to back to back news programs, a lot of them are saying the same thing. It's just more of the bad news repeated over and over again. It's about 70% bad news and about maybe 10% you may get some good news out of there, something positive of what's happening in the world today. And so Mr. Ray Paul has a tip, set a limit to how much news you're watching. Stay away from broadcasts and uh, YouTube videos or social media pages that give you the negative parts about people's lives, that basically, talk about everything that's going wrong. So it shows you the very worst of humanity. You know, it's showing these reality shows where people are backbiting and stealing and fighting and throwing drinks in each other's face and backstabbing each other and practicing manipulation and deceit. You think after you've had an earful and an eyeful of that, do you think that the rest of your day you're going to be able to think positive? Do you think that negative thoughts are not going to run across your mind after you filled your mind with all of these things that I just mentioned? Do you think you're going to have a positive day after that? If you're listening to music with lyrics, you may say, "Oh, I'm just listening to it for the beat." But if you're listening to lyrics, eventually those lyrics grow on you. You may hear a song and you may be like, "Oh, I don't like that song." But after it's played so much on the radio station and you hear it everywhere you go, after a while you find yourself singing to the song. You find yourself repeating those lyrics, even on television, these commercials with the jingles. Have you ever found yourself an hour later or the next day, you're singing that jingle in the shower? Or you're doing your housework and you're singing that jingle? It's because all it takes is a second for the words to grab you and grab your attention and to sink deep inside your mind. If you don't have some sort of a gate or a guard up there, then anything can sink in, garbage out. And all it takes is a second for something to grab a hold and sink into your mind and influence your thoughts. All it takes is a second, especially if we're not aware, if we're not conscious of what we're focusing on and listening to and watching. If we're not being deliberate and proactive about controlling our thoughts and removing negative thoughts and replacing them with positive ones, all it takes is a second. Okay? And so the solution to that is to turn it off or limit it, Or go and do something when you turn it off. Don't just sit there, but go and do something creative and more positive with your time. You know. So what's point number two? Point number two is to stay away from negative people. Well, if that isn't good advice. And so, what is meant by a negative person? How can you spot a negative person? Well, here we go. A negative person is going to be someone who has a negative outlook about everything in life. A negative person is someone who's going to bring you nothing but problems and drama. They're problem oriented instead of solution oriented. You can talk to them all day until you're blue in the face. You can rehash the problem all day long. And they're going to want to stay in that problem state of mind instead of, hey, instead of me rehashing and ruminating about my problem, what's a solution to the problem? What's an answer to it? You know? And another red flag that you're dealing with a negative person is someone who loves to talk about and discuss the shortcomings of everybody else. They love to gossip. They love to slander. They love to do the smear campaigns. They love to talk about and air other people's dirty laundry. Those are the signs of a negative person. And those are the people that Mr. Ray Paul in his blog is telling us to stay away from these people or limit our involvement, our communication with them. You know, if it's a family member, a spouse, or, somebody that you work with, you have to interact with these people. But you also have the power to walk away and limit the amount of time that you spend with these people. Because you know what? Bad company, negative company corrupts good character. You can take that to the bank. Okay? And number three, this leads to point number three as far as how to guard your mind against negative thoughts. Have you ever thought about this? Have you ever noticed that when you're with a group of people, 5 or more, and they're bent on having a conversation, their entire discussion is about how they hate their job or how they hate their boss, or they're bashing and doing the smear campaign and gossiping and slandering a new coworker, or gossiping and slandering somebody, or they're talking about politics really bad and what's wrong with the world. Have you ever noticed that no matter how much you're trying to practice positivity, have you noticed how quickly you get pulled into that conversation? And you end up wasting time, and without thinking about it, 4 or 5 hours have went by and you've discussed nothing but rubbish. And then you wonder why you walk away feeling discouraged and depleted and drained and fatigued. And so point number three is don't jump on the bandwagon of criticizing others. Because those very same people that's criticizing and talking about someone else, they're going to talk about you. And so how do you avoid criticizing others? How do you avoid this, when you're in a group and all this negativity, the whole conversation that's flowing is negative? Well, you can try to introduce something positive. You can try to put a positive spin on the conversation. If that does not work, then your next solution is, when you tried everything you can to be positive and it's not working, graciously exit stage right. And you don't have to tell them, you know what, you guys, I can't take this anymore. You guys are too negative. I need to get away from you. Don't do that, because that's not beneficial. That's not going to help your case or help the situation at all. And so you're looking for a win-win situation. You're looking for your words to be filled with grace to the listeners. And so graciously exit stage right. Walk away from the conversation. Get out of it as quickly as possible. Okay? Number three, don't criticize others. Number four, keep yourself busy with something positive. Keep yourself busy with something positive. And so what are some ideas that some things that you can do to keep yourself busy with something positive? Well, I came up with a few. You can listen to positive music. Music that does not trigger you or leave you feeling some kind of a way. Okay, you can listen to positive podcasts or audiobooks. You can download a few mindfulness apps. You know, sometimes all you need is, mindfulness basically is thinking about what you're thinking about, being conscious of the thoughts that are going around inside of your head. And so just taking 5 minutes to let go of everything that maybe you've been bombarded with, the negativity, and just to center yourself and to focus on something positive, you know, and to, focus on that positive thought with every breath that you take. And sometimes all it takes is 5 minutes to step away, to let go of everything, to take a break from everything, everybody, and just that 5 minutes to regroup, refocus. Okay? Um, So we got mindfulness apps, we got positive and peaceful videos that you can watch. YouTube has a host of videos that relaxing music, soothing music, soaking music, um, positive music, positive videos, videos that when you're done watching them, you feel like you can go out and conquer the world, that changes your way of thinking, that makes you think of a different way, a better way. Videos about, people's lives, the good that they're doing, people who have left the world a better place than what they found it. That's what we need. We need to eat that every day for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and dessert too. I don't think you'll meet anyone who would tell you, you know what, I just want more negativity in my life. I just need to hear another negative thing, you know? No, people are looking for positive things, genuine things to cling on to. People don't want to feel um, to have negative thoughts or feel like, they have racing thoughts or they're ruminating over negativity, over and over again. That impacts you in some type of a way. And so the solution is to grab some positive things in your life, to limit the negativity and grab a hold and hold tight to the positivity. And there's this uh, new lingo that's going around now about negative, no, not negative. It's called toxic positivity. There we go. That's the word I'm looking for. Toxic positivity. Well, is there such thing as toxic positivity? On my channel, would you like to hear me come on and talk about um, negative all the time? If you're at the doctor's office and the doctor has good news or bad news, what do you want to hear first? And so I've came to my own conclusion that I would rather be a toxic positive person. I would rather you know me as a toxic positive person than to be known as a toxic negative person, that I'm spitting out venom everywhere I go, every conversation. There's never anything good coming out of my mouth. I'm just throwing up and vomiting my toxic venom on everyone that I meet, anyone that will listen, anyone that will give an ear. I'm going around, I'm triggering people with my conversation, leaving people feeling a certain way, and I'm not giving them any type of hope at the end. Because sometimes you have to talk about tough things. But when you talk about those tough things, you should also have some sort of a balm or solution at the end to ease the pain. Okay? So I would rather be a toxic positive person than to be someone that can clear a room with my negativity. Or to be a person that when a person walks away from me, they're exhausted or they went from feeling positive to negative because of my words, that my words didn't add grace to the hearer. That my words didn't encourage, that my words were not refreshing, that I didn't water the soul, or when the person walked away, that they didn't walk away feeling better about themselves than when they started talking to me, or that they were triggered, you know, and left to go home and deal and sort out things because of um, my careless words, you know. So I would rather be known as a toxic positive person. And number 5, last but not least, how can we guard our minds against negative thoughts? Well, Mr. Ray Paul states that we can pause and think before we respond. And I have to tell you, I have to be honest, I struggle with this. I struggle with responding instead of reacting. And I realize that, you know, in this world, people will try to bait you into conversations that you don't want to really be a part of. They will try to bait you into arguments and confrontation, and big debates that you don't want to be a part of. And because they're baiting you, if you fall for the bait, which means that you're going to react, you're going to say something or respond in a way that you may regret later. And basically, because of you spend your life, when you go around reacting all the time, shooting from the hip, off the cuff remarks, um, just saying, giving people a piece of your mind, telling everybody off, putting everybody in their place. There's a time to deal with conflict and everything. But, if we spend our time reacting to everybody that bait us, if we spend our time showing up for every battle and every war that we're invited to, every fight that we're invited to, then basically we're like a puppet on a string. We're like a badminton birdie or a tennis ball, We're being hit and swayed back and forth, reacting, spending our lives reacting. And I don't want to spend my life reacting. And the reason why he tells us to pause and think before we speak, because that pause, even if you have to count in your mind, count backwards: 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That pause gives you a chance to think about something positive to say, and it gives you a positive way to respond. Because get this, negative responses, which means reacting, create negative conversations and negative thoughts. Negative responses, reacting to everything, creates negative conversations and negative thoughts. And not only just for you, but for the listener, for the people that are around that's overhearing how you're reacting. It creates negative thoughts and negative conversations. And one thing that I've learned in this world, I've lived in this world long enough, I realized that bad news and negativity travels faster than positivity. Why is that? I don't understand it. But we have a solution to that, because we can pause, we can think about something positive, and we can respond instead of reacting. Okay? And so these are the 5 ways, that we can guard our mind against negative thoughts. Because you know what, my friend, in the end, when we all have to live in this world together, we all have to deal with each other. We're all imperfect people. Uh, that's the human factor. We're going to make mistakes. Catch us on a bad day. We're going to say things that we shouldn't say sometimes. It shouldn't be all the time. That shouldn't be your MO. You shouldn't be known. That shouldn't be your mode of operation, that, oh, you say something and this person is going to overreact, you know. Um, excuse me. In life, our goal should be to de-escalate a negative situation. Not escalate the problem. Let's de-escalate. Let's calm everybody down. Let's calm ourselves down, and let's talk about this. Let's reach a win-win solution for everybody involved. Let's act like adults here. Let's not spend our lives reacting or overreacting. We can't control how we respond. We can't control how we react. And a lot of people spend most of their lives not knowing that they can't control the thoughts that go into their minds. You can remove a negative thought and replace it with a positive one. You can guard your mind from negative thoughts. You can put a gate over your eyes, because what you see impacts your mind. What you hear, put a guard over your ears, because what you hear impacts your mind. Lord, put a guard over my mouth, because what I say, my words, impact my mind, impact my day, impact the minds and the thoughts and the days of other people that's involved, okay? So, my challenge to you, I'm going to wrap the video up. I didn't want it to be too long. My challenge to you is today, remember those questions I asked you at the beginning about happiness? Are you happy? Well, the challenge today is to grab a piece of paper, write a paragraph about what happiness would look like in your life. Not how it looks right now, Your life doesn't have to be perfect, but what is your idea of happiness? What does that look like in your life? And take this piece of paper out and read it often. Make a few copies of it, hang it on your wall, hang it on your bathroom mirror, somewhere where you can see and review it every day. What does happiness look like in your life? What would your life look like if you were happy, experiencing happiness? And then make that a goal to work towards every day, okay? That's my challenge to you. All right? So, as I say at the end of every video, that there is life after lupus. So take care of yourself, my friends. Stay encouraged, stay strong, you know, stay safe, and stay as healthy as possible, both in mind, body, and spirit. you know Stay as healthy as possible in all three areas: mind, body, and spirit. Okay. And so control those thoughts. Put some of these 5 tips, put them to work, and take the challenge, and let me know how it goes for you. Okay. And if you have any comments about, you want to add something to the conversation about guarding your mind against negative thoughts, about what are you thinking about, about happiness, leave it in the comment section below. And I'll talk to you later on the next video. Bye, everybody. Bye for now.